So Tuesday morning, we were all trying to come to terms with what had happened last night. Now, we're getting ready for War in the Woods, and Kenny was planning on taking the Camaro. And I'm sure this morning feels like a bad dream to Kenny. Unfortunately, it's very real. So Kenny got busy pulling the engine out of his Camaro in the shop, and I get a phone call from a buddy of mine that's going to stop by and see me today. I've known this guy for 30-some years. Michael Scarborough. If it isn't Michael Scarborough.
Mr. Hoskins.
This thing sounds pretty rowdy. You looking for action? Huh?
I might rab it, I might.
Oh! Woo! Look at this thing. What year? 85? Small block Ford?
Yeah.
Pop the hood on this thing. Let's do show and tell. Oh, would you just look at all that? Scarborough, there's some sexy stuff going on in there. Look at this. What is it?
331.
331, small block Ford, automatic, C4.
Yeah, reverse manual all body.
And I see it's got spray.
Yeah. It's got
You got to be wanting action, son. I know why you're here. I already know why you're here. Seriously, why are you here?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here to talk some upgrades and some fixing some shit.
Evidently, watching us screw around out here in the shop has got old Scarborough feeling some kind of way with his Mustang. He tells me the little Mustang's running hot. It's got a 456 gear in it, so it's not very streetable. And he's got a couple other little problems too. So what's the situation here? You got problems.
Yeah.
You need a gear put in it,
Need a gear put in it.
and you got some kind of nitrous leak.
There you go. The nitrous leak and the plate's not right. And
Show me your problems.
so I got this all bolted up tight. Everything's good. You turn it on.
Ooh. At
And-
first, it sounds like the bottle, oh, that's coming from this fitting down here.
I know, and I've tightened it.
I thought maybe it was the bottle nut washer was missing, but it's not.
I've tightened it and tightened it to where I'm going to break it.
So do you know anything about this nitrous kit?
No, it came with the car.
Came with the car. Total unknown.
It's old stuff.
Old stuff.
Probably 20 years old, I'm guessing.
Man. So we need a gear change
Yep.
and a nitrous upgrade.
Yes, sir.
He definitely wants action.
That's right.
So Mikey tells me the Mustang's running a little bit warm. And based on what he told me he set the timing at, 36 degrees total, my prior experience with small block Fords is that they tend to run hot with too much timing. So I put my timing light on, check the timing, back it down a little bit, and send Michael out for a test drive. Now he asked me if I could maybe help him put a gear in this thing, which that's no problem. But this nitrous kit he's got, I think it needs a little bit more help than just a handful of parts and fittings. This thing's pretty old, it's completely unknown, who knows who's had their hands in it. So I'm gonna try and talk old Michael into upgrading that kit with something from Nitrous Express. I told him if he wants to run with the big dogs, he's gonna have to come off some of that moldy money he's got stashed away back home. And I have a feeling I haven't seen the last of Mike Scarborough and his red Mustang. By Tuesday evening, Kenny had the engine pulled out of the Camaro, had the engine on an engine stand, and was just about ready to start pulling the engine apart. I went ahead and got the parts cleaning tank all cleaned out so that we can use it, because inevitably we're going to have stuff to clean up if we can put this thing back together. But unfortunately, when we pulled the intake off, it was clear there would be no salvaging this short block, and that notion was definitely confirmed once we pulled the cylinder heads off. There's 2 complete pistons missing, and both cylinder heads are just beat to death. The short block is a total loss, but I still need to figure out what caused this. And a closer inspection of number 2 piston reveals the murder weapon: insufficient ring gap. Probably one of the most common issues with nitrous engines. That wasn't the only surprise that I'd have Tuesday night though. I couldn't hardly believe it when Billy pulled in the driveway with his Nova. He finally got this thing to run, drove it around the block, and then he and Rob decided, might as well put some street miles on it to break it in. So they drove this thing from Billy's shop all the way to my house. By the time he got here, it was almost dark and he doesn't have any headlights, so we're going to let it sit in the shop overnight. But while we were all here together working on the Nova, we formulated a plan, a course of action to put Kenny Powers back in the driver's seat of his IROC Camaro. And this plan does not include sitting out the weekend at War in the Woods. It just so happens that I have one good running small block left in the fleet. It just so happens to be in my mom and dad's 55 Chevy. So I called mom and dad last night and they said, come get the car and use the engine. The engine that's in the car is a little too rowdy for mom and dad's liking. The camshaft's a little too big and it bucks and kicks in the parking lots, and it's difficult for dad to drive the car around. So Jeremy and I get this thing fired up and back it out of the storage shed that mom and dad keep it in up at the farm. Luckily, the battery was still up on it, but the brakes weren't. We had to put a little brake fluid in it, pump the brakes, and they came right up. However, when I started down the driveway, I quickly realized that the generator light's on, and I had forgot that the generator had quit working last fall on the way up to the farm when I put it away. Since the car has an electric fuel pump, I didn't let the car warm up. I just went ahead and fired it up and started down the driveway with it so that I could get it back to my house before the battery ran dead. The old 55 sounds and runs really good, but it's completely impractical for my mom and dad's use. And for something with a 4-speed that we're just going to drive on the street, we don't really need this much engine.
Haven't seen this thing in a minute.
It's been a while.
Tucked away for winter.
It hasn't improved any.
Yep.
That engine's it's just too radical for mom and dad.
Yeah. But it's what we had at the time.
Well, I told him, I said, I was going to put that engine that we put in your 64 in this. And Dad said, no, Mom wants to be able to hear the cam. I said, Dad, it's going to be a little much. No, that's what we want. So I put it in there, and it's too much.
So, you think this will be good in Mr. Powers' car?
Oh, it'll run good in Kenny's car. That's more motor than he already had. That's a really good running 355. He had kind of a marketplace special 383.
Yeah.
This thing runs. I mean, it runs. This little small block has forged flat top pistons and a comp hydraulic roller cam. It's pretty rowdy sounding. With the Street Dominator intake and the Brodix Track 1 cylinder heads, it runs pretty good. So we shove Billy's Nova outside and pull the 55 in the garage and get ready to start pulling the engine out. I'm going to start looking around for an old 327 or a small block 350 that's relatively stock that we can put back in the car and make it much more enjoyable and comfortable for my mom and dad to drive. But in the meantime, this is going to get Kenny Powers back to racing action without any delay. And for the first time in a long time, the whole gang is here working together in the OG shop. So it's probably not going to take too long to get the engine out of this 55 Chevy, get it cleaned up, and get it ready to swap down into Kenny's Camaro. We just need to swap out the flywheel and clutch for a flex plate and the short water pump off the 55 for Kenny's electric water pump. Once we get the engine out of the 55, we put the hood back on it and push it outside in the shade to let it sit until I can find another engine. And hopefully that won't take too long, because cruise season is upon us and we definitely want to have the 55 Chevy running this summer. But for right now, our main focus is getting Kenny's Camaro to War in the Woods. So I dig through my stash of small block Chevy gaskets and find most of what we need. What I didn't have, Billy and I ran down to A1 to pick up. Mark got us all hooked up and taken care of, and we quickly head back to the shop to help the guys to get my 355 ready to go in Kenny's Camaro.
There it goes. Thank you. You really helped.
And get Kenny's old engine out of the shop. When we go to set my engine down in Kenny's Camaro, we found a major problem. My oil pan doesn't work with Kenny's exhaust. So, the only thing we could do at this late stage is call Uncle Terry at Jegs, who happened to have a stock oil pan at the 11th Avenue store, and he can bring it to us after work. Just put it on my card, Uncle Terry.
Okay, I'll do her.
You got everything there?
Yeah, sure.
Oil pan, one-piece gasket, stock pan pickup, and that's it.
Done deal.
Thanks, Uncle Terry.
You bet.
Thanks.
I'll see y'all probably in about 30 minutes or so.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, you bet.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Terry lives 5 minutes from our house, so it's literally on his way home. So while we wait for Uncle Terry to bring us parts from Jegs, things start to heat up out back on the dirt track. Billy breaks out his 5th scale Losi stadium truck and starts running around the track, and then all hell breaks loose. When Jeremy sees that 5th scale out there, he decides he's going to get out his go-kart. He's going to get smashed. Only he didn't quite understand the fact that you turn left on dirt tracks. So he asked Billy and Rob to change directions. Well, that didn't work out too well for him either. Once Jeremy could go the direction he turns the best, well, that's all he could do, is turn in circles. Try as he might, Jeremy was no match for that little 5th scale Losi stadium truck. He tried a handful of different tactics, different approaches, but nothing really changed the fact that he was getting lapped, either by his own driving ineptitude or the fact that his go-kart wouldn't stay running. So Rob let him get about a half a lap ahead and then just practiced putting pressure on him and eventually ran him down. Now in Jeremy's mind, he had something for Rob. He had 100 excuses.
The clutch finally.
Yeah, you broke down, your equipment failed.
The race
rolled twice and still spanking on you.
the race ended when he crashed.
Who crashed?
Well, we were 6 laps ahead anyways.
Oh, you were.
Jeremy
not.
crashed?
Yeah, I had a governor, so wait till I take the governor off.
Wait a minute. He crashed?
He crashed.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as okay as you could be. Did you roll it?
Yeah.
He rolled it?
I bumped and run him, come to the inside, he tried to go to the outside, and it was cold trickle after that. Reversed and took him to the high side.
I'll go out there and unwire the governor, and then we're gonna see what's up.
After listening to Jeremy's 100 excuses, we find out that Rob accidentally called his wife during all this.
I don't know what you're doing, but you just left me a 3-minute voicemail. It sounds like you guys are going. So, I'm gonna need you guys to stop tickling each other and get to work. Okay, bye.
Once all the dust settled, Uncle Terry stopped by on his way home to deliver our parts. Uncle Terry. My man.
Brunson, first fix the carnage.
We've got Operation Kenny Powers going to War in the Woods well underway.
Is everything was locked in? That's good.
Oh yeah, he's in.
Tell him, I said, it's much, 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 much better than it happened here than
Oh yeah.
in Brown County.
Oh yeah, for sure. We just have this little problem with an oil pan.
Not a problem anymore, but.
Appreciate you dropping the stuff off, man. Thank you.
No problem.
Greatly appreciate it.
No problem at all.
While Terry was here, he wanted to go out and check out Billy's Nova. So Billy fires the thing up for him out in the front yard. And man, does this thing sound good. It was just about dark when Uncle Terry headed back to the house, and Vicky showed up with dinner for everybody. Jeremy, you look like Pigpen. You look like you ate a lot of dust today.
Must have getting shit done around here.
Well, You're getting shit done?
Well, yeah.
It looked like shit got done to you. He got gap sauced. Kenny finished up putting the oil pan on his engine just about the time we all got started eating. Thankfully, Miss Vicky went and got chicken for everybody. But Wednesday evening after dinner, we found out that our oil pan problems were far from over. Even the new stock oil pan doesn't fit around the exhaust. We decided to call it a night, get some sleep, and come back Thursday morning to work on it some more. Only this time, Uncle Bucko's on the job. He had gone home last night, and Rob and Kenny tried to massage the exhaust system around the oil pan. And Jeremy couldn't stand to look at it, especially after all the work Lucor did. So he cut that section out, made a new piece, welded it in, checked for leaks, and was almost done with it when I realized Kenny's hard tires haven't been mounted yet. So I sprint down to Bowman Goodyear to drop off Kenny's hard tires and my rally wheels to have them mounted. Me and June Pup stop and put a little gas in the 64, and by the time we get back to the shop, the guys are almost ready to fire this thing up. We drop the distributor in it, put the plate on it, the carburetor spacer, and the carburetor. While Rob works on finishing up the wiring on the nitrous kit, I take June Pup outside to throw the frisbee a few times, and then the boys fill her up with water. We're minutes away from hearing this thing run. Crank it. Hit it. The small block out of the 55 fired up immediately. I put a timing light on it, set the ignition timing, checked for leaks, checked oil pressure, checked voltage, and everything sounds pretty good. There's only one problem. We've got a minor leak in the exhaust system where one of the V-band clamps has stripped out. So we run it up on the lift and call Uncle Terry one more time to bail us out. Luckily, we managed to call Jegs just in time for Terry to get the parts we needed and drop him off once again on his way home. And just like that, Mr. Kenny Powers is back in business. We will be at War in the Woods with Kenny Powers Camaro. Kenny Powers, you are back in business. We're going racing.
We're going rounds at War in the Woods.
We fought too hard not to, didn't we?
Exactly.
That's all right. As long as we get to go and have a good time, we'll be all right.
Yep.
I think this one actually is going to be a little bit easier to race on a hard tire because this one doesn't quite make as much torque, but this one RPM is much, much better.
Yeah.
And it pulls way harder up top. And on spray, it really rolls.
Should be able to get off the line easy and crack into it.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
My engine from my high school truck.
Yeah, it's the engine out of Billy's high school pickup. His red 70, what was that, 78? It was a red 78 3/4 ton pickup. It sat out back in the weeds for, what, 3 or 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah.
And we pulled it out, and we put it in the 55, and now it's in this because it was a little bit too radical for the 55.
I forgot that that's where that engine came from.
No oil in the breathers either.
Hey, when do you want details?
I'm ready whenever you are.
All right,
I'd like to eat first, though.
All right, all right.
What do we got? Capilano's pizza? Mm-hmm. I'm ready for details.
Well, I didn't say go yet. I'm studying them real quick. You ready for details?
I am ready for details.
Okay. So, tomorrow, Friday, May 13th, the boys are headed to Muncie Dragway in Albany, Indiana. They are going to an event called the Big End Banger. It costs $15 to watch. Gates open at 4. First round is at 6:45, and they're doing small tire, big tire, and daily driver there. Now, you and me are heading to War in the Woods because that's Saturday. We're going to go ahead and go straight there and get our pit spot and get situated.
And hopefully I'll have my own big end banger. All right, I'll cut that out. Go ahead.
You have to cut that out.
I'll cut it out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Cut that out too. Wait. Alright, good.
It's allergy season. Okay, Saturday, May 14th, War in the Woods. Gates open at 7 a.m. They hope to be racing by noon. And it costs $20 to come in and watch, and they're doing small tire, big tire, and hard tire. That's at Brown County Dragway in Morgantown, Indiana.
And Chief's going to be there.
Yeah, Chief and Jackie are going to be there. It's going to be fun.
All right, is that it?
I think so. Let me preview
You
it.
forgot a very important part.
What?
Friday, I'm gonna be in the finals.
You know, I wouldn't doubt it at all that one of the boys will go deep into the rounds.
Listen, you're going to Mac TV home turf.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
You think it'll be you and that little RX-7 in the finals?
The RX-7 isn't the one you got to watch over there.
Uh-oh.
It's Bumper Wilson.